bye-bye. I love the old days, you know? I love the old days. You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks.
Make America Great Again, not for many, but rather a select few on behalf of this movement.
I think that if the kids today are not willing to stand up and fight, then forget it, period.
It is.
Forget it. It's not a matter of putting it off for 10 years.
I ain't got 10 years.
It's not a matter of delaying it, because it's like it's now or never. I think it's that serious.
Boston Celtics great and civil rights icon Bill Russell fought this tooth and nail in his day.
If I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black, because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
This was Donald Trump's perspective.
If I say to you, I respect your work, that means far more to me, and I hope it would mean far more to you.
It does. It does. A lot. Yeah.
You know, because to become proficient in something, or to become very good at it, no one knows how much work it takes, how much talent it takes, how much dedication it takes to get to this place. And it's like watching a duck cross the pond. Yeah. You know, smooth on top, pepping like hell underneath.
Crazy. And this was the late Russells.
A well-educated black has a tremendous advantage over a well-educated white in terms of the job market. And I think sometimes a black may think that they don't really have the advantage or this or that.
Trump throughout the years, unchanged. Meanwhile,
I never was comfortable playing for the Celtics because the number one paper was the Boston Herald, and they didn't like the idea of the NBA team having black players.
It goes to show, no matter the success, it did not translate in society.
And yes, by the way, they are trying to take away our history and our heritage. You see that.
What heritage and history is he referring to?
I left the hotel and I went to a restaurant down the street. And the proprietor asked me what I wanted. I said, "This is a restaurant, isn't it? I'd like to get something to eat."
Old days, law enforcement acted a lot quicker than this. A lot quicker. In the good old days, they'd rip him out of that seat so fast. But today, everybody's politically correct. Our country's going to hell.
Law enforcement, who have a history that dates back to slavery, is not the rallying cry it should be, but Trump makes it so. Journalist and author William C. Roden, who covered Russell, goes over said history.
In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily.
These are his thoughts on constitutionally protected free speech.
In 1967, Muhammad Ali risked his career by refusing to be drafted to fight in Vietnam. America's finest black athletes stood by him, with Bill Russell leading the way.
Look at some of the personalities from that decade. You and Ali and Jim Brown and Kareem, like these are some of the most thoughtful athletes ever, and you're all there at the same time.
We came out of friendship to Muhammad Ali. And I know that we wanted to find out from him. You know, you read the papers, you see on television and all this kind of stuff, what is going on?
What I did, or tried to do, was support all these guys.
And how Trump would undoubtedly treat the likes of some of the greats. Muhammad Ali, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, and many more.
Devin Nunes should get the Medal of Honor. He is really what he's gone through and his bravery. He should get a very important medal. Maybe we'll call it the Medal of Freedom because we actually give them the high awards for civilians.
His idea of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Devin Nunes. Need we say more here?
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
On the value of listening and conversing they could not differ more.
If you're talking to me, Charlie, and you have an idea you're trying to transmit to me,
Right.
I have to listen to it a couple of different ways. I got to hear what you're saying, translate it to a language that I understand, and assess the value of it. And so you can't just not pay attention and get that.
Yeah.
You see, because if I want to communicate anything to you, I must put it in a form that you can understand. If I don't, I have failed in my communication.
Kinda says it all, doesn't it?
President Donald Trump's wife passed away last month, but guess where she was buried? In a gold-hued coffin at Trump's New Jersey golf club. You heard that right. Trump's former wife was buried in his golf club. I know it sounds weird, but that's where her grave lies, in a plot close to the first tee of the golf course. So why is she buried there? It's because her grave could help Trump get a tax break.
On family, the core values could not be further.
We buried her in Louisiana. And while we were down there, she had 5 sisters. And so they would decide who was going to take me and who's going to take my brother. And my father says, I'm going to take them both back to California with me. And they said, man can't raise kids. He says, I promised their mother I would try. And so he had a business. And he used to make a lot of money. He went back to Oakland, he sold the business. And he started to work in the foundry for $42 a week, which was about half what he had been making before in his business. And he sacrificed so he could be home every night to be a good parent. I was never afraid because I knew that he loved me and he never let me down.
Not only did we do it, but I did it very early. And that decision has been now given very good grades, like an A+++. And you should say thank you very much for good judgment. There's going to be nobody better than Donald Trump in terms of bipartisanship, because you see, I know the truth.
In addition, the polar opposites of being a me-first person.
Although I say I want to be the star, I have to be a star in a way that my teammates can play and do what they do. See, I can't be a star that always got to have the ball.
Get out of here. Get out. Out. Oh, this is amazing. So much fun. I love it. I love it. We having a good time? USA. USA. All right, yeah, get him out. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it. We had 4 guys. They jumped on him. They were swinging and swinging. The next day, we got killed in the press. That we were too rough. Give me a break. You know? Right? We don't want to be too politically correct anymore, right, folks?
When I look at Bill Russell, I think of a man who sacrificed. I think of someone who was dealt a bad hand over and over again. I think of someone who used his platform when many, and I mean many, including those within the ruling class that make the laws in this country, and many who despised people for the color of their skin, he said screw it and spoke out. He participated in the Cleveland Summit. He put his foot down when the Boston Celtics were refused a meal, professional basketball players, and said he was flying home. He even told a story that Red Auerbach tried to get him to stay. And he said, I already have a flight. It's a connecting flight, and then I'll be back in Boston. And Auerbach said, hang on, called up the guy who ran the establishment, called Russell back and said, it's all good, you could eat. He goes, that's not the point. And he put his foot down. He kept putting his foot down. And even throughout those times when he knew the flack he would catch, his house was broken into, and racist NBA fans defecated in his house, in his bedroom. This is a man who gave up so much because he knew that he could use what he had going for him for a better tomorrow. He was told way back in the day by a white coach, we don't play defense the way that you play it. And he benched him. Why? Because he left his feet. He left his feet. And he was benched by a white coach. He went on to become one of the best defensive players in basketball history. Won 11 championships in 13 years. A man who many, let's be clear about this, and even Tony Kornheiser has added more fuel to this. Among the predominantly white media, was viewed as brash, was viewed as standoffish and rude, when really he knew the questions that should have been asked, and he wasn't being asked them. He was the first, if not one of the first, as John Thompson, the late John Thompson, said it, that he preferred to be called black and not the word that starts with an N and ends with an O. Bill Russell is a civil rights icon. He is one of, if not the greatest basketball players ever. He's probably a Mount Rushmore for a lot of people. He is a man who knew what he had to do in order for other people to strive to have a better life. And Donald Trump is the exact opposite of all of that.